Hey Lisa, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Andy. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
So today we're going to go over another booklet that we offer to people to help them with their, real estate needs.
Yeah, it's
So we're going
another
to
one of
present
our
another one.
consumer guides.
Correct. So we're going to go over a different one than we went over last week. And if anybody's interested in it, they could let us know. I'm sure you're going to put a link on the bottom.
I will be doing that, yes.
Awesome. So today's guide that we're going to go over, our consumer guide for today, is what everyone ought to know before buying their first home. So it's basically like just tips for a first time buyer, which
You
we
know,
get a lot
though,
of.
Andy, also it's good for people. Maybe I haven't, you haven't bought a home in a long time and might have bought it before, but things change too. So I think it's useful for anybody who's getting ready to buy a home again,
I would
or
agree.
for the first time.
Yeah, and you know what? And even if you, like you just said, a lot of people stay in their home over 10 years. Who remembers what happened from 10 years ago? And with technology, everything changes every couple of years anyway.
Right,
So,
right.
so I agree. You know what? Even for people that are been in a home or even bought a couple, but it's been a while, this maybe gives you a little refresher.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start going through the guide, and then we'll go back and forth and discuss some of the pertinent information that is within it.
Great.
So buying a home can be confusing. Why? Because you're bombarded with misleading information, confusing claims, and poor advice from family and friends who aren't accountable or responsible to you for the advice they give. How do you ever find solid, practical information that will help you find the right home? Well, you start by reading this free report. And one of the things I was going to add over there is that happens to us all the time. People say, well, my sister used to be a real estate agent and she lives in New York. And it's like, first of all, she's not a current agent. And real estate, I don't know how many times I've said this in my life, but it's a lot. Real estate is local. Real estate is local. And I don't care what prices in New York are. That's not the same as what's going on in Vegas. And even in California, it's different. Everywhere is different. And people need to understand that.
Yeah, it's really important to have that local information and those local numbers. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. So the purpose of this educational guide that we're offering is twofold. One, it's to provide you with information which might assist you in achieving greater clarity and decision-making resolve, and being able to decide, should I buy, should I not buy? And also to introduce ourselves as accomplished and knowledgeable agents, realtors, ready to comprehensively assist you in both determining and executing your personally arrived at real estate and lifestyle related decisions, whether as a prospective renter or buyer. And that's one of the things that this guide will help you with, is to clarify whether it's better in your personal situation to rent, or whether it's better to buy, because those are, it's not the same for everyone. If you're only planning on being someplace for a couple of years, probably not worth looking into buying. If you're planning on being somewhere for quite a while, and if you're like most of us who are normal people who have regular jobs and regular incomes, one of the best ways to build personal wealth is through home ownership. For me, that's definitely been true for me. And I think it's been true for you too, Andy.
Definitely. It definitely has. And you know what? One of the things is, if you ever run into an agent and they're really pushing you to buy and not rent, you might want to think hard about that agent's ethics, if that's somebody you really want to work with. Because I've told people before, you know what, it's cost me deals, but I've told them, you know what, in your situation, you should rent. I like to be able to put my head on the pillow at night and sleep.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep if I do somebody wrong. I'll be thinking about it, and I'll be thinking, man, that was the wrong decision for them. I'd rather not make a deal and do the right thing, because you know what, karma comes back to you.
And in the end, it's really our job just to be the provider of information. And that's what we get to do by offering these consumer guides, and by our by our combined experience. So it's pretty. We're very firm about that.
And sometimes, like you said, renting is the best option.
Yeah.
If someone tells me they're going to be here for 2 years, I'm not going to tell them to buy a house
Right.
because I mean, short term with closing costs going in and going out, even if prices go up a tick, you might not make your money back.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
there are a lot of great benefits of home ownership as well. And we can go over a couple of those as well. Like you were talking about the opportunity to build wealth, especially with what's going on with COVID in this country. It's important to have a space that is yours. And
Hmm.
one of the negative things about renting, people are always worried about hanging too many things on the walls. They don't want to put a lot of holes. They don't want to paint somebody else's place or change it too much. But when you own a home, you could make it your own. If you need to do something to make your own private space out of a different space, you could do that. And with everybody working at home and being home all the time these days, it's important that we're comfortable in our surroundings.
Right. That's right. That's right. But let's say you decide to buy and you need help. So, a lot of times the question I get asked is, should I, just call the listing agent, or how should I decide to be represented?
Well, in my opinion, the best way to decide to be represented is to find somebody who's an advocate for you, not an advocate for both sides.
Hmm.
When you contact a listing agent, a lot of people think that's the way to go because they're going to want your offer to be accepted so they make more money. That's not, you want someone who's only vested in you. You're not paying for the buyer's agent in most cases anyway. So the sellers are always paying us. So you want someone who's going to fight for you and negotiate for you, not negotiate for both sides.
Yeah.
So I feel pretty strongly about that. I think it's an important thing. And you know what? I think me and you in our practice work that way. We try to work where we're giving all of our attention to our client.
Right. 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 I agree, because there's a lot of things that come up, and especially on a home inspection, if there's something important that needs to be repaired, how are you going to be asking for that to be done, and who's going to be the strongest advocate for you as a home buyer? Yeah, and you made a good point. How do real estate agents get paid for the services they provide? Typically, we get paid out of the closing from the sale proceeds. So you're not, the buyer isn't having to come up with extra money to be paying that, and that's been the way that it's been handled. But it can be any number of ways that happens. There's no steadfast rule about getting paid, but the norm is that we get paid out of the closing of the sales price, really.
There's also one other thing we didn't mention yet was there's also a lot of tax benefits to owning a home too. They'll really cut down on your federal
It'll
income
help.
tax.
Yeah, that's true, because you get to deduct that mortgage interest, which is that's a good amount.
Significant.
If I'm not mistaken, it's 100% deductible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when you first get a house, it's mostly interest, not much principal. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty big deduction for the first 7-10 years, whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. I also get a lot of times, one of the first things that people bring up for me is that, they're having trouble with their credit and they need some help with that. And there's a lot in this guide that talks about that, about what credit is and how, when you're getting a home loan, how a lender looks at your credit, because it's different than when you get a car loan or apply for a credit card. And there's lots of different ways that you can look at your credit, but there's lots of really simple things that can be done to improve your credit as well.
Yeah, this guide does a great job of explaining things like credit in pretty simple terms for everybody to understand. A lot of people worry about, like, if they meet with a lender and the lender needs to pull their credit, they're worried how much that's going to cost them in a score, credit score, and it's very little. If you as long as you're not going around getting your credit pulled 10 times, you're going to be fine. When the lender needs to pull it, as long as they're a quality, reputable lender, and Lisa and I wouldn't send you to anyone that wasn't, then the times that they're going to pull it, it's not going to hurt it to the point that you're not. So it's
Right,
important
just
to
that,
understand
just
that.
when you're looking for a mortgage, that's absolutely right. And there's a lot of explanation about credit inquiries. You don't want to be having your credit pulled a lot, like Andy said, but just to have it pulled to see if you qualify for a loan is not going to affect it very much at all.
Another
There's
thing
also,
that go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
okay, there's also some nice information about, what if you don't have any credit, and it tells you how you can start building up credit. Because if you've never had a credit card, and sometimes people don't, they just operate on a cash basis out of their earnings. And it only takes a couple of months for those things to take effect. Same with paying off debt. It only takes a couple of months for you to see a good bump in
Yeah.
in your
People with no
credit
credit.
score. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think people with no credit a lot of times. That's actually a lot of times it's happened too, where maybe someone's married and one spouse always had everything in their name,
Mm-hmm.
then the other spouse has no credit. I've seen that happen several times.
Yeah.
Then they have to work like me. I don't know. One passes away or they get divorced. The other person has to establish their own credit, at least some bills, and the lenders that we would send you to would help you with that process too. They're all going to work with you. Their job is to make sure you can qualify. So they're going to give you tips on how to do that.
That's right. That's right. So Andy, I have a question. What do you think is the best place to be looking for a home? And when you're buying, there's so much information online. A lot of people that we get to work with have already picked out a house they want to see that they found online. Do you have a favorite portal that you like to look at that you think provides good information?
Well, personally, I think if you start with a real estate agent, they will set you up on a search through the MLS, which is the only place probably that you're going to get completely accurate information, up to date. And once you're on a search, you can search yourself off of the portal that the agent gives you. But if you want to look on your own and you're just starting, a lot of people, of course, know the word Zillow, and they go there quite frequently. But I have to be honest, their information is not always great.
That's right.
More often than not, it's right, but it's definitely not always right. A lot of times I get clients that are confused because it'll say like pre-foreclosure. You know what? That means nothing. That doesn't mean anything. It might mean someone's behind in their payment by a month. It's not on the market though when it says that. Personally, I think if you're going to choose one of those, I would go with Realtor.com. It's more connected with real estate agents and the National Association of Realtors. And I believe the information there is always going to be better.
Well, and the other thing about Zillow, they're changing their business model they're becoming an iBuyer, where they're actually buying people's homes, and kind of like Open Door, and less oriented towards the consumer, the person who's buying a home. So I think that Zillow is the information there is that they're giving out is also changing quite a bit too. So yeah, I would say Realtor.com. But again, all you have to do is get in contact with an agent that and tell us what you're looking for, and you can get up to date information, because there's nothing that's more up to date than the MLS for what's on the market. And also to see how fast a market is going, so that is going to give you absolutely the most focused place that you can look. Although our website at Better Homes and Gardens also has a pretty good what we call an IDX, which is you put information in and then you receive home listings. That one's pretty good too. I've never seen anything on there that wasn't actually on the market when it was received.
That's great. Yeah, that's great too. Being on the MLS or searching through the MLS, as soon as an agent changes something, the consumer's going to see that, which is what we want. Because I'll get people sending a list of 10 homes that they want to see, and 8 of them are already under contract.
Yeah,
They don't
right.
realize that because they don't understand
Yeah.
what it looks like.
Well, and we're in a market that's moving so fast. There is a shortage of inventory, and so it's really important to be up to and to be looking constantly. And that's what we do. Is we can check immediately and then keep checking to see how what's happening with properties when you want to go out and look at them, because it is a very fast moving market right now. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to put in the bottom some information about how to contact us to get a copy of this consumer guide, so that you can. We don't want to give it all away, so you have a chance to review it. And there's a checkbox list of things. It explains exactly how and in what order the home buying process works, and says in detail the kind of services that we can provide you. So just feel free to follow the link that we'll provide, and we'll be happy to get you a copy. And all we need is a name and an email address.
You know what? Just one more thing I'd like to say is, Lisa and I aren't pushy salespeople. We're very soft on things, and if someone just wants to be set up on a home search, it takes us a little while to set it up. But once it's set up, even if you're not going to be ready for a year, it doesn't matter to us. Once it's set up, our work is done, and you'll just keep getting the homes that are listed that match what you're looking for. And then, you know what, when you're ready, you're ready. But at least that way you can keep track of the market, which is invaluable.
Yep. And I know that probably the top question is what's going to happen with the market. And we've said before that right now it is strong, and prices have actually increased a little bit since March. But this is all new territory for everyone. But having gone through the recession before, I don't think that prices are going to be affected for about a year, simply because we will continue to have a shortage of inventory. And we were going through the foreclosures in 2008, 2010, 2012. People were staying in their homes for a long time. Banks weren't really rushing to foreclose. So I really don't think we're going to see anything affecting sales for a year. And if the economy is able to come back, we may not see any changes. The important thing right now is to see increased inventory, so that there's more places available for people to live, because that's where the market is right now. There's just not enough inventory,
especially in the hot price points, which would be like in under, right? Anything around 300, just above, just below. If it's priced correctly, it goes quick.
And I'm finding that recently, even in the 350 range, where I've been pricing at the high end of what I think the market will bear, and the houses have been selling for that. So it's active. We're busy.
Yeah.
Even here in Las Vegas. So let us know if you want a copy of the guide. You can contact us, through private messaging on Facebook, or all our contact information is, of course, at the end of the video. So thanks for letting us share this information with you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.